You are standing in your kitchen on a Tuesday afternoon and you are crying. Not because something terrible happened today. Nothing happened today. The dishes are done, the emails are sent, the laundry is folded and sitting in a basket you keep meaning to put away. Everything is fine. And yet, here you are, hand pressed against the counter, breath going shallow, crying in a way that feels like it has been waiting a very long time. And the strangest part? You don't stop yourself. For the first time in a long time, you let it come. You don't know yet that this moment, this quiet, unglamorous Tuesday afternoon collapse into your own kitchen, is not you falling apart. It is you finally beginning to come back together. You have been fine for so long. Not fine the way people mean when things are actually good. Fine the way a person gets when they have decided, somewhere deep and unspoken, that they are not allowed to be anything else. You have been the one who handled it, who kept going, who answered the texts and showed up to the things and said, "I'm fine, just tired." So many times it stopped feeling like a half-truth. You have built a life around forward motion. Because forward motion meant you didn't have to feel what was directly behind you. You scheduled things back to back. You made plans for 6 weeks from now. You stayed so far ahead of the grief, the exhaustion, the unanswered longing. When people asked how you were doing, you gave them the version they could hold, the summary. Not because you were lying, but because the longer answer required you to stop. And stopping meant feeling, and feeling meant something you weren't ready to open. So you didn't. You kept going. You were productive and capable and present for everyone around you. And you carried your own weight like it wasn't weight at all. But something has started shifting. Maybe slowly, maybe all at once. Maybe it was a song, or a conversation, or someone asking how you were doing and waiting long enough that you almost told them the truth. Maybe it was just a Tuesday. Maybe it was just your hands against a kitchen counter and the realization that you are tired. Not sleepy tired, but soul tired. And that you have been tired for a very long time. If any of that sounds familiar, drop a 1 in the comments. You'd be surprised how many women are reading this right now, thinking the same thing. Here is what I want you to understand. The exhaustion you feel right now is not weakness. It is not you failing. It is information. And when we understand what it is telling you and where it comes from, everything starts to make a different kind of sense. What you have been living inside has a name. Psychologists call it emotional suppression. And it is not the same as simply being private or reserved. Emotional suppression is an active, ongoing process. It is the nervous system working continuously in the background to monitor, contain, and redirect emotional experience before it surfaces. The body is not resting. It is working, quietly, constantly, in a way that most people around you never see. Dr. James Gross at Stanford University has spent decades studying how human beings regulate their emotions. And specifically, what happens when we suppress rather than process. What his research consistently found is this. Suppression doesn't make the emotion disappear. It stores it. The emotional experience continues in the body even as the outward expression is held back. The feeling is still happening. You just aren't showing it. And over time, you stop registering it consciously yourself. This is why you can go months, sometimes years, feeling completely functional, completely steady, and then cry in a kitchen on a Tuesday afternoon over what feels like nothing. It was never nothing. It was everything, held carefully out of sight until the moment your nervous system decided it finally had enough space to let some of it go. Chronic suppression has a physical cost. It raises baseline cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. It activates the sympathetic nervous system. The body, over time, starts to treat emotional containment as a form of low-grade emergency. Exhaustion, tension, the sense of always being slightly braced for something without knowing what. This is why you are tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Your body has not been at rest. It has been on quiet, invisible duty, holding a great deal in place for a very long time. And if you want to understand why, if you want to know where this started and why it made perfect sense, that is where it gets important. Think back to a much younger version of you. Think about what the emotional environment felt like around you. Not necessarily dramatic, not necessarily bad. Just the texture of it. Who was allowed to fall apart? and who was expected to hold it together. Maybe there was a parent who struggled, not in a way anyone talked about, but in a way you could feel. And you learned, without being taught in words, that your job was to not add to it, to be easy, to manage your own feelings efficiently and privately so you didn't become one more thing that needed to be handled. Maybe the messages were subtler than that. Maybe you were the good one, the capable one, the one who didn't make a fuss. And that identity felt good, felt safe, felt like the place you were most loved. So you got very skilled at being it. You learned to read rooms before you entered them, to sense what was needed before it was asked. The child's logic was completely sound. If I hold it together, things stay okay. If I show what I feel, something gets worse. That was not neurosis. That was accurate pattern recognition in a specific environment. You were reading the room correctly. You were adapting brilliantly to what the room required. But you are not in that room anymore. And the rules of that room, the rules that kept you safe, are still running inside you, long after the original reason for them is gone. And here is the part I want to say carefully. There is a cost to this. You already know it. You are feeling it. The loneliness of carrying things no one knows you're carrying. The distance that grows between you and people you love because you keep handing them the managed version. The way that after years of being the one who holds it together, you start to wonder if there is anyone who could hold you, and whether you'd even let them try. That is real. That is the honest cost of what you learned to do, and it matters. But here is what I also want you to hold alongside that. The woman who learned to suppress and contain and manage, she was not broken. She was building something. She built capacity and composure and a kind of inner architecture that most people never have to develop. She became someone who could be steady when others couldn't. Someone who could think clearly under pressure, show up even when it cost her, love people through difficulty without needing them to reward her for it. That is not nothing. That is extraordinary. Built under extraordinary pressure. What is shifting now, what that Tuesday afternoon in the kitchen was the beginning of, is not the loss of that strength. It is the realization that you are finally safe enough to put some of it down. That the emergency is not ongoing. That there is room now, actual room, for the feelings that have been patient with you for so long. Healing doesn't look like becoming a different person. It looks like becoming more of yourself. The part that got quieted, the part that was trained to wait, the part that is still there, still soft, still capable of being felt. You are not broken. You were braced. And now, slowly, you are learning to unbrace. Drop an 8 in the comments if this is the first time someone has put words to this for you, and if you are somewhere in the middle of this, somewhere between the bracing and the letting go. This next part is for you. When was the first time you remember deciding, even unconsciously, that your feelings were not the priority? That someone else's steadiness mattered more than your own honesty? Maybe you were very young. Maybe it was a single moment. Maybe it was just the slow accumulation of 1,000 small moments where you chose to hold it in, and nobody ever told you that you didn't have to. Leave it in the comments. You don't have to explain the whole story, even just the age, even just a single word, because I want you to see how many women are going to write something similar beneath yours, and I want you to feel, even through a screen, that you are not carrying this alone. If this stayed with you, our next video goes even deeper, into the psychology of women who keep accepting less, because somewhere along the way, they forgot they deserve more. Watch it next.